Vayamuni Pravidya Bhaktya Pranayashulachana Rishtaroma Ramana Madatari Purusham Darshana Drashta Samasta Kilvisha Swastamalanta Karano Vayamuni Vrintabhaktya Pranayashulachana Pravishtaroma Anamad Adi Purusham Tadarshana Drashta Samasta Kilvisha Swastamalanta Karano Vayamuni Pravittabhaktya Pranayashulachana Vishtaroma Namad Adi Purusham Tadarshana Rashta Samasta Kilvisha Svastanamayana Karano Vayamuni Vidbhaktya Pranashulachana Arishtaromanamadi Purusham Darshana Drashta Samasta Kilvisha Swastamalan Karano Vayamuni Pravidavakya Pranayashurachana Pravishtaromanavadari Purusham. Does anyone out there want to do it?
Tad Darshana Dvashta Samasta Kilvisha
Darshana Drashta Samasta Kilvisha
Swasta Malanta Karano Yayan Munihi
Vastamalayana Karano Vayamuni
Avridha Bhaktya Paraya Shrulochana
Vidabhakya Pranayashulachana
Rishta Roma Namadari Purusham
Staromanamadadi Purusham
Tadarshana Dhvasta Samasta Kilbisha
Tadarshana Drashta Samasta Kilvisha
Svastamalanta Karano Bhyayan Muni
Swastamalanata Karanabu Vaimuni
Aviddha Bhaktya Pranaya Shulochana
Vidavakya Pranayashulachana
Pravishtaroma Namaradi Purusham
Parishtaramanamadadi Purusha Tadarshana by the sight of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Drashta destroyed Samastakilvisha having all sins Swasta healthy Amala and pure Anvakarana the core of whose heart Abhayat approached face to face. Muni, the king, who was silent due to full mental satisfaction. Avidya Bhaktya, with an attitude of increased devotional service. Pranaya Ashrulochana, with tears in his eyes because of love. Trafishtaroma, his hair is standing on end due to jubilation. Namat, offered respectful obeisances. Adipurusham, unto the expansion of the original personality. Translation. As soon as Maharaj Chitraketu saw the Supreme Lord, he was cleansed of all material contamination and situated in his original Krishna consciousness, being completely purified. He became silent and grave, and because of love for the Lord, tears fell from his eyes and his hairs stood on end. With great devotion and love, he offered his respectful obeisances unto the original personality of Godhead. Repeat after me. As soon as Maharaj Chitraketu saw the Supreme Lord, he was cleansed of all material contamination and situated in his original Krishna consciousness, being completely purified. He became silent and grave, and because of love for the Lord, tears fell from his eyes, and his hair stood on end. With great devotion and love, he offered his respectful obeisances unto the original personality of Godhead. Prabhupada's purport. The word tat darshana dvashta samasta kilbisha is very important in this verse. If one regularly sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the temple, one will gradually be disinfected of all material desires simply by visiting the temple and seeing the deity. When one is freed from all the results of sinful activities, one will be purified, and with a healthy mind, completely cleansed, he will increasingly make progress in Krishna consciousness. Om again, Timirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshu Anilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragnatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lavita Shivishakan Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavana Sutyadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Vipasindubhya Evacha Patitan Pavani Vibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Maharaj Chitraketu came into the presence of Lord Shesha and you saw him personally. And one thing I've been remarking on lately in relation to this is uh, again against the atheists. It's, Krishna, Krishna conscious preaching. We have to always be ready to argue against the atheists. The material world is more or less atheistic, even because after all, we come to the material world to avoid Krishna. So it's and Krishna lets us forget him. He gives us forgetfulness of himself. That's what we want. We want to be with Krishna. We want to be independent. So Krishna is everything. There's nothing exists except Krishna. And in order to, and Krishna is the Lord and Master of everyone in the Vaikuntha Lokas, in Goloka Vrindavan. There's nothing except surrender to Krishna and service to Krishna, worship of Krishna all the time, everybody. And so and nothing exists anywhere in the spiritual and the material worlds except for Krishna. Krishna, Krishna is the source of everything. He is everything. We are nothing but part and parcel of Krishna. Every molecule of air, every bit of dust on the ground, everything is Krishna. Nothing exists except for Krishna. So but come to the material world, we want to forget Krishna. And so Krishna lets us. And here in the material world, the atheist is, we're so much covered over. It's like amazing how covered over we are. The conditioned soul is completely in ignorance, in Maya, and illusion. And so conditioned soul can even say, well, God, there is no God. There's nothing but God. But the atheist says there's no God. When you look at it from our point of view, from the pure devotee's point of view, from Krishna's point of view, it's the most ludicrous thing to say. To think is like if you go out on a bright sunny day, no clouds in the sky, and you say there's no sun. That's, if somebody said that, you would think it's a very strange thing to say. And but every conditioned soul is exactly like that. We're so covered over, and the atheist, they often say one of their arguments is their arguments are silly. Their arguments are childish arguments, but they'll say. Literally say, this and it was God, this person, but no one's ever seen him. So, but there's so many accounts, not only here in the Shastras, in the Vaishnava literature, Srimad, right here, Lord Shesha is described in detail, and all throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, Arjuna on the battlefield is seeing Krishna face to face. And not only things like this in the Shastras, but people throughout history. There have been many great saints and devotees who in Christian tradition. I don't know anything about the Muslim tradition, but definitely in the Vedic tradition, there are many saints and sages who see Krishna or have seen Krishna. I was just talking to Mother Taruni yesterday, and she was telling us about a dream she had of Krishna, and Krishna appeared to her in her dream. And I have no doubt in my mind that she saw Krishna. It's, it doesn't matter if you're asleep or awake. If you see Krishna, you see you see Krishna. So there's so many people throughout history who have seen Krishna, but an atheist will say, well, no one has ever seen Krishna, or they'll say, if somebody says they've seen Krishna, they were dreaming, or they were hallucinating, or they were just imagining something, or they saw a cloud in the sky and they thought it was God, or any crazy thing they'll say. And they'll say, well, but it's like completely like a weird thing to say. Like so many people have seen God, but you haven't seen God. Okay, that's okay. Most people haven't seen God because we're such conditioned souls. That's fine. But so many people who are reputable, intelligent, reliable people have given their accounts throughout the course of history that I've seen God, I've seen Krishna, I've seen God, and you have the nerve to say that nope, no one's ever seen God. Nope, they're all making it up, or they're all an illusion. Only I know it's real. No one's ever seen God. It's just like, how do you have the gall to to say something like that? It's like, I haven't seen I haven't seen Delhi. Uh, So many people live in Delhi and have seen Delhi. And if I say no, there's no such thing as Delhi, I say, well, I've been to Delhi, so I've seen Delhi. So it's like just a crazy, crazy thing to say. The but the atheists they they want it that way. They want it that no one has ever seen God. But it's just not true. Anyway, so Maharaj Chitraketu uh, is sees God right here, right before him, and uh, he was cleansed of all material contamination and situated in his original Krishna consciousness, being completely purified. And so the whole process of Krishna consciousness is Chetodharpanamarjanam. It will cleanse the heart of all the dust accumulated for years. And the holy name extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. So if you wash a dirty shirt or pants, and it will get clean because it's in the presence. It's being in contact. It's being affected by the cleansing agent of the soap and water. So it will get clean. That's how it works. So we were, and Prabhupada said that with the cleansing, washing the heart of the conditioned souls in Kali Yuga is like trying to wash a piece of coal. You can't, coal is black all the way through, so you can't wash it. But the power of Krishna consciousness is so great that it can cleanse a piece of coal like you or me, and we can become pure. And the whole process of Krishna consciousness is purification. We are originally pure spirit. We are pure spirit souls, part and parcel of Krishna. Nothing can change that. It's always been like that. It's like that right now for everyone. The worst criminal, the worst sinful person in the world is a pure spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. Uh, but under the illusion of Maya, we're acting in forgetfulness of Krishna. So we act in very ungodly, uh, uncivilized, sinful ways all the time. But that's not our nature. Our nature is to be is pure, and the process of Krishna consciousness is simply to cleanse the dust, and we'll see ourselves. We'll see Krishna, and an example is if you go into a dark room and or if the sun comes out in the morning, immediately you see, you may not, sometimes it's so dark, especially here in the country where there's like on a cloudy day at night, it's pitch black. You can get lost. I used to walk from the house up below where the Bhakti Tirtha Swami lived, walk through the forest, before it was light in the morning from Mangalartik. And so on the way down through the woods, if it was really, really dark, you could get lost. I did get lost a couple of times just walking from there to here. It's only like a 3-minute walk. I got lost. So but as soon as the sun comes out, you see the sun and you see yourself, you see everything around you. We see everything around us. So, and of course, the holy name is, in the beginning, it's called Vas chanting, or a shadow chanting of the holy name. So it's compared to it's compared to in the early morning when the sun, you don't see the sun yet, but the rays of the sun are coming over the horizon, so you can already see uh, everything. As soon as the rays of the sun are there, you don't, even though you don't see the sun yet. So the neophyte chanting of the holy names of Krishna, and the process of worshiping the deities, and everything that we do, planting a garden or cooking in the kitchen, everything that we do, we're in the cleansing state, and so we can see, we know. We don't see Krishna yet. We do see Krishna. We see Krishna on the altar. We see Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda on the altar. We do see Krishna, but without very much realization yet. But we definitely do see Krishna every day. We see pictures of Krishna everywhere. We do see Krishna, but not in our completely purified form, but in our neophyte position. But that neophyte position is sufficient to understand so much about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and so much about ourselves in relationship to Krishna. And so everything is right there in the Shastras in easy to understand language. We read it, we hear it from our spiritual master, from Srila Prabhupada. We hear everything from Shukadeva Goswami and Narada Muni, Srila Vyasadeva, and we understand everything. So our knowledge is so much expanded that the devotees, our knowledge, compared, you could take the biggest uh, genius professor at Harvard University or wherever, and but we know more than that. They're maybe they're very intelligent, the most intelligent software designer or developer of artificial intelligence. So, but a young child in Krishna consciousness knows more, not about computer science, but about God. And God is the source of all computer science. So the devotees become the most intelligent people in the world, the most knowledgeable people in the world, just by reading the Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you're literally reading the mind of God, like diving and surfing, swimming in the ocean of the mind of God. Krishna's words are right there. That's what Krishna is thinking. So we're, how can we not be the most knowledgeable people in the world? It's not that we have such great credit. We're ordinary conditioned souls like everybody else, but having been blessed by Prabhupada, by your own spiritual master and disciplic succession, we've been let into the fold, led into the group of Krishna's um, associates. And so the position of us, even as neophyte devotees, as struggling young bhaktas and bhaktins, we have such a great advantage of understanding everything, literally everything. And yeah, so the process of Krishna consciousness is simply for cleansing the dust on the heart of the conditioned soul. It's not a mechanical process. It's not like washing. It's compared to like washing a dirty piece of clothing, but it's not mechanical in that sense. But in a sense, uh, it's mechanical. You just have to with a little bit of attraction, a little bit of faith in the beginning. You just have to take to the process. When Prabhupada came and began preaching, he told everyone just chant Hare Krishna. That's all there was in the beginning. And devotees people would come to 26 Second Avenue. We were to Rani and Yadu's house yesterday, and they had one of the original flyers that they were putting up around New York, the Lower East Side in 1966. It said, "Stay high forever." And of course, they're appealing to the hippies, and not everybody, but almost everybody was getting high back then on LSD or mushrooms or marijuana. And everybody was getting high, so Prabhupada, so the flyer is like, you want to get high? Stay high forever. And so they come to and they're like, oh yeah, I like getting high. I'll come to the, I'll come to 26 Second Avenue, and that's all Prabhupada wanted. Just come, just listen to me talk, just listen to me chant, and join in chanting with me. And at the end, I'll cut up a piece of apple. It'll be Maha Prasadam, and you'll take that prasadam to your full satisfaction and glorify their Lordship Sri Radha Krishna, and in love call upon the help of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda to please help us, help me. So in that sense, it's mechanical. You just come and you just start doing what the other devotees are doing, what Prabhupada is doing. Just open your mouth and say the word Hare Krishna, and eat. You're going to eat something anyway, so eat. Take this prasadam and just do the things that we're doing. In that sense, it's mechanical, but of course, as you go on, you learn that it's not mechanical. You have to understand it, and you have to put your heart and soul into it. And increasingly, as time goes on, it's not limited. Like, okay, now I've put my whole heart and my whole soul into, like in the Bible, that's just the commandment of Jesus Christ: love the Lord thy God with your whole heart, your whole soul. your whole mind. So that is the eternal principle of Bhakti Yoga. But there's no end to it. It's not like, okay, now I've done it and I've done it. I put my whole heart and soul into Krishna consciousness. So I'll just, I'll just keep doing that. And of course, we do just keep up with the things that we're doing, but the devotees are constantly and eternally trying to increase more and more and surrender more and more. It's not like the gopis or Mother Yashoda is okay. I've I've done enough now. I've surrendered enough to Krishna. I love Krishna enough now. There's never a situation like that. They always think, now what can I do today or at this moment to improve my service to Krishna, increase my devotional, devotional devotion to Krishna, my love for Krishna. It's a never-ending process of reciprocation. Krishna is like that too. It's not one-sided that the devotees are just, I have to increase and increase. But even Krishna, speaking about the gopis, he said that when they came to him in the dead of night, leaving behind their husbands and their fathers and even their babies, and putting them down, even after feeding them, you're just putting them down and running out the door to Krishna in the middle of the night. Even in the United States now, in a really degraded condition, even here, that would be really very strange for a young married girl to do that, and it's so degraded in this country and all over the world. But 5,000 years ago, when, when Krishna and Vrindavan and the system was so much more regulated and Krishna conscious centered and rule centered, centered, rule oriented. And for a young girl to just jump up in the middle of the night, run out to a boy in the woods playing his flute, it's like it doesn't get any worse than that. And, worse from the material point of view. It can't get any worse than that. But on the spiritual platform, that's considered with the gopis' attraction to Krishna. It's called the lawless love of the gopis. There's no law for the gopis in their relationship to Krishna. Whatever Krishna wants is what they do, and and when they came to one thing Krishna said was that he said, your devotion, your surrender to me is so great, I don't have the assets to repay you for your devotional service, your love for me. You'll just have to be satisfied with your own devotional service. And I don't have enough that I can repay you. And so for the ordinary religionist or worshiper of God, very sincere people, very nice devotees, or just regular scholars of the Bible or Vedic Shastras, say, that doesn't make any sense. God doesn't have the assets to repay his devotees or people. How is that possible? God is omnipotent. He has everything. He's all loving and all merciful. How can so? Ultimately, from our more knowledgeable point of view, it is comprehensible. Everything everything that's ordinarily impossible to understand for the non-devotee or even the neophyte or uh, devotee is impossible to understand, is possible to understand from if you hear it in disciplic succession from the self-realized souls, the pure devotees of Krishna. So we can hear a statement like that and accept it and understand it. Like this one person who challenged Prabhupada, and he gave the classic argument of the atheist, one of the classic arguments, and they say, well, if God is all powerful, then he is omnipotent. Can he make a stone that's so big that he can't move it? It's like a catch-22. Caught ya. If he's God, he's all powerful, then he can make a stone that big that he can't move it. But if he can't move it, then he's not God. They say, by material logic, you might say, oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah. And people do get bewildered by atheistic arguments. They do get bewildered by uh, impersonal arguments and so-called logic. Definitely get uh, bewildered by the arguments or the of just plain old sense gratification. Eat, sleep, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. And everyone gets bewildered very easily by by these things that, from the material point of view, make sense. You're right. I just die at the end. So what difference does it make what I do in this life? I just can get all the sense gratification I can. And or yeah, impersonalism. Yeah, ultimately that makes sense. Okay, I'm not a person. There is no personality. It's all one. I just merge into the one absolute truth. I am that. Tattvamasi. It's right there in the Vedanta Sutras. Tattvamasi. Thou art that. And so you easily get bewildered by the impersonalist arguments and so-called logic, and just the atheistic arguments. You can easily get bewildered by like, my sister, and I'm still close with my sister. She's 74, a year older than me, and she's very nice, materially speaking, and she has a tendency to, she sometimes chants Hare Krishna when she's in anxiety. It's really nice, and she's very gracious and kind, helping to all people, but she gets hung up. And I don't preach to her at all. I'll tell her things once in a while. You're not that body, you're pure spirit soul, you're eternal. But I don't get into it because I know her big hang up is that, there's so much misery in the world, so much pain. So if there is God, then why is there all the suffering in the world? So the atheist conclusion is that either there is God, but he's not good, or there couldn't be a God. Because if there was, why is a baby born with brain defects or crippled, or why is there war in the world? Why is there hunger and all these things? So So the atheistic uh, um, outlook on life can be convincing. Impersonalism, just sense gratification. So Prabhupada continuously, throughout his books, he's arguing against the non-Krishna conscious points of view, attitudes, and thought processes, and in every case he gives logic and reason and evidence from the Shastras to counteract all these arguments. And we're supposed to know these arguments from Prabhupada and be able to respond to any argument that we hear. We're all intelligent people. We're supposed to be able to respond to any argument. We shouldn't be at a loss for something to say. Although in the beginning we might not know how to argue with a particular person. Um, some of the atheists and personalists, they're very intelligent people. It's not that they're not intelligent. Some even they can speak very philosophically, intelligently, and might not be able to counteract all their arguments at a specific point in time. But we should learn all the arguments and be able to. But at least within ourselves, we can understand that what they're saying, oh, this is just atheism, or this is impersonalism. So it's not right. Krishna consciousness is the absolute truth. And there's like for impersonalism, the arguments uh, in some places, most places in Prabhupada's lectures and purports, he gives very simple. The impersonalists are the people he's most determined in his books and lectures to argue against, because it's such a detrimental, such an all-pervasive um, philosophy or understanding these days, or in the material world in general. The conditioned soul has a tendency to want to accept a personal view when they come to spiritual life. There's a strong tendency for that. It is very bewildering. It can be very bewildering. So Prabhupada, and it's so detrimental because you've come all this way, you've come through all the material suffering and you become frustrated with everything. And then you say, okay, then now I want the spiritual understanding. So I'll study spiritual life. But then you can easily become diverted into the impersonalist idea because it is very bewildering. But it's okay. You've come all this way. You're almost there. You just have to uh, meet the pure devotee and read the Bhagavad Gita as it is, and you'll be there. But if it before that point or after that point, if you get some impersonalist uh, uh, preacher or book, you can become diverted and not come to the point. You can be satisfied with that. And it's such a loss. You've come all that way. You're almost at the goal of Krishna consciousness and surrendering to Krishna, going back home, back to Godhead. But at the very end, we've become diverted. It's such a loss, even if you merge into the Brahma Jyoti, which is a spiritual goal. It's a liberation, but that liberation is considered hell by the devotees. It's liberation, Sayunja Mukti, but it's not bhakti. It's not, there's no exchange of love with Krishna, which is the best thing. Not best by a little bit, but the best spiritual goal by a long, long way. And you're almost there, but you got diverted. It's such a shame. It's such a shame. So Prabhupada repeatedly, so many times throughout his preaching, in general, usually his arguments against the impersonalist point of view is he gives very simple arguments, very clear, cogent, very convincing, overwhelmingly powerful arguments against the impersonal attitude, but very simple arguments. But sometimes he really gets into it. There's one section, I can't remember exactly where it is, but I think in somewhere it's either in the Madhya Lila or Antya Lila, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Prabhupada is a long purport, and Prabhupada really gets into all the impersonal arguments there. It gets very specific and detailed, giving their quotes from the Shastras to prove their point of view, and going at length into the Vaishnava arguments and scriptural references to counteract the impersonal point of view. And of course, I should know exactly where it is, but I have forgotten, and try to look for that sometime and read that. It's pretty amazing. It's a little hard for me to follow, uh, but you can, but I should try. I have to try again. And we should try. Anyway, we're supposed to know you don't need all that to counteract the impersonal arguments, but there might be an occasion sometime if you're talking to like a real dyed in the wool, committed, intelligent, lifelong impersonalist. It might be an occasion sometime when you might need those arguments. I never have, but the occasion could arise. And the point is, the arguments are there. Everything is there. It's not like it's not like we're at a loss in any situation to counteract these arguments. Anyway, I talked all the way to the end, which I should have. And they're hitting on the conch shell through reading the deity. Apologize for not stopping earlier. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.